Hello everyone, welcome to episode 69 of A to C Stitch with me. And we have finished the Racoon Cabin, Snowy Reindeer, and are working on Snowy Reindeer. So this series is in 9 parts. This is part 1, 2, and 8. And yeah, let's get to stitching. So I'm gonna move you closer and zoom you in. And my tripod isn't wanting to play along apparently. Okay. Hope you can see okay. I have to look around my camera. I don't know, I filmed for like an hour ago because I pre-record these videos, and in between that time I can't seem to get the camera to stay in the place it was where it was perfect. So well, we just will make do with what we have. So let's start with some white stitching. Take out one more length. And I'm trying something new now because I am doing all the challenges. No, I'm not. I'm not doing all the challenges. I have actually stepped back from a good amount of the challenges. But there's a bunch of the same that I have enjoyed and still want to do from previous years. So I'm still doing those challenges. And there are some new ones that really just did fit my style, and I liked how it worked. So yeah, there's a lot of new fun challenges that have started with the new year. So but yeah, I'm not stitching for all of them. I tried at the beginning of the year and it just ruined my stitchy bug. So I kind of had to take some of them away. So what I'm mainly doing now is I do challenges that does not, where you don't have to meet the prompt, or that has very high stitch counts. Because then I don't feel like I'm posting all the time and posting like 10 different groups, because it takes away stitchy time. So it's nice having a good variety of challenges and like be able to use a project for multiple groups, but at the same time kind of need to limit myself. Because or else I'm gonna lose my stitchy bug, because it takes too much time posting all of the things. So yeah. So what I have done is, before I started recording, I took my pattern and I have scanned all of my hard copy patterns into a PDF, taken photo scans and made them into PDFs so that I can use them on my iPad, and I use them in OneRead. I think that's the name. OneNote, I think it's called. And there you can highlight with different highlight colors. So I chose a new color that I usually never do highlighting with of stitches, and I thought about what I most likely want to stitch and how I want to stitch. And then I marked all of the stitches that I want to do. When filming, because then I end up at a good point to stop where I can take a picture for my challenges before I will mark off the new stitches I want to do, and then start filming again. So that I don't have the excuse that I don't film because I can't use them for challenges, or if I use them for challenges I only get like 1 or 2 prompts done, when in reality I have done so many stitches I can do like 5 or 6 prompts. So yeah. So I'm still in daily 30. That's a closed group, and you can only get access through being invited. And I'm in, let's see, The Stitching Dead, which is based off The Walking Dead. You don't have prompts, you just have stitch counts you need to reach. So that's good. I am a moderator in Magical School of Stitches, but I'm not playing myself this year. It's a mystery year, so there's some. This is parked the wrong place. Okay, I'm gonna park it. Yeah, so I'm not doing Magical School of Stitches. I think it's closed now, so you wouldn't be able to join if you wanted to, because it's closed off. I think so, or it will close in February. You have to go and look. I don't keep control of that because that's not what I'm doing, but I'm in the different chats and will help out with if people have some questions. So it's weird not doing that stitching for that group this year, because I have been in that group since Harry Potter, since before Harry Potter started. It was one of the first, like, when it comes to challenges, the Harry Magical School of Stitches, the Harry Potter year, was like the first time they did that type of prompts at that big of a scale, and it was so popular. Like, it became insane how many people joined. So Harry Potter that year, it started out, was super fun. We weren't that many in the group in the beginning, and then suddenly it just some people mentioned it on a floss tube, and it became crazy how many that joined. And after that, I did never feel the group was the same again, because there's so many people. It's you just, it becomes too much in a way. I like the smaller groups. That's why I absolutely love Daily 30, because there's not too many people in the group, so you kind of recognize everybody and you feel like you can talk to everybody, and it's just a different environment than the big ones. If you're not a person that likes to be recognized, or kind of you have your own friends, you only want to do challenge groups, then those smaller one isn't for you, then the big ones are. So we're different people with different needs. So those big ones aren't really for me. More than now I'm just helping out, because Vicky from Reading and Stitching is a good friend of mine, and she is the main admin, and always have been, of the Magical School of Stitches. So yeah. And well, yeah, one of the new groups I joined, it's called Health Stitching, which is really fun. We have me and my team. I'm actually the leader this time around. I'm usually never the leader, but somehow that's how it worked out, me being the leader. And we run a restaurant. So we stitch for ingredients to get like items, and then when special events happen, we get orders where we have to use those ingredients that we have stocked up to make different recipes, orders. And if we fulfill a certain amount of orders, we get some special points, and those points you can use to get new recipes and ingredients and upgrades for your kitchen and stuff like that. So it's, so far I'm really enjoying it. It's, yeah, it's fun. It's really fun. And there's a group I started to join, but I have pulled out of, which is called Fandom Stitching Central. And this year they are doing Star Wars. So it's Star Wars themed, where you each month watch one of the videos, and there's just, it's a really, really fun group, and you can join a team, either Jedi, Sith, Bounty Hunter, or Rebels. And doing the different prompts earns you points, and those points then go to your team. So it's more magical School of Stitches type of stitching. Except this year, because this year is a mystery year, so you don't have a team you're stitching for in Magical School of Stitches. but you get that in Fandom Central. And then a good friend of mine started a group called Stitch Into the Wild. It's Laura from Laura X Stitch here on FlossTube that have made that group together with Adele from Delcat Stitches. I'm not sure if she does FlossTube now. She did previously, and I think she stopped. So yeah, that's a really fun group. But again, they have really low stitch counts. So if you're a stitcher that doesn't do a lot of stitching, that group is perfect for you. And it has some prompts where you only need the stitch count, and there are some prompts where you will need to fit the project you're stitching to the prompt. So say you have to have something with a night sky, so you have to find a project with a night sky to do those stitches. And all prompts is, I think it's 100 stitches you have to complete for the prompt. So as I said, it's not very high, especially not me, that's usually liking better the bigger stitch counts, so I don't have to post so often. But yeah, it's so fun group. It's not for me, but I highly recommend it to everyone else that's like doing smaller stitches. If you want to try a challenge group, there's like no pressure. You're not in a team, so you don't have to earn those different do those different prompts. And you, in that group, you can make an album, and whatever you accomplish, you can get a picture you can put into your album as a reward to like see what you have stitched for. And each prompt is based off different animals, and you get like a fun fact or just a fact about that animal. So like if the animal is nocturnal, like that's when you can get a prompt about the night sky, and you learn something about that animal that you maybe didn't know before. And the way I have understood is, like this month they're doing Africa, so it's all animals from the savannah. And I think they will do different biomes or different places in the world, like Africa, Australia, like change where you stitch for animals, and you then learn about where the different animals live and where you can find them at the same time. So it's, as I said, it's really, really fun. And on top of that, having like low stitch counts, the daily 30 group I'm in this year has something similar as their yearly challenge, where we go to find animals. So I kind of already had an animal challenge. I'm sorry, that camera it won't stay in place. I think my tripod is starting to mess up. So I'm sorry if I was out of frame for a while. So yeah, I'm kind of doing an animal challenge already. So hopefully maybe they will still be going next year. But as I said, they're doing fairly small stitch counts, and that really isn't for me. Because doing 100 stitches, I can do that in 15-20 minutes sometimes. Maximum of like, I don't know, 45 minutes, depending on what type of project I'm stitching on. And that's just too, it becomes too often for me having to post pictures. I like that. As I said, I like the bigger stitch counts. And there's one group, Down Under Divas, it is called. That's also two friends of mine that are doing. They are on a floss tube as Tassie Stitchers, I believe. And they have some high stitch count for each prompt. And they're only monthly based. The same Stitching in the Wild is monthly based. Yeah, they're monthly based, Down Under Divas, and you get like high stitch counts, like 1,000 stitches, 500 stitches. They do prompts, and my thinking is some of the prompts aren't prompts that I really like stitch on yellow flowers or stitch in green. Often I will just not do those prompts. So yeah. But they do have other prompts where it's more stitch on an animal that can't walk backwards easily type of prompts. Like, they're really fun, and they're based off so far from Australia. This month is Australia, and there's 1 month we're gonna do New Zealand, and so yeah, it's I think 1 month is Tasmania. I would be surprised if it wasn't, since they're from Tassie. And that's what the people from Tasmania call Tasmania, is Tassie. I really like that name. So yeah, I'm doing some of the prompts more. It just works out nicely, because usually when I pull out the project, I like to stitch a good amount when I'm first pulling one project out before I switch. So that means I can pull a project out, and if I do 1,000 stitches, that's what I'm planning to do. In total, I can just fit it into one of the prompts and don't have to worry anything else about it. And a lot of people wonder how I can keep track of everything. And right now I have a really high-tech spreadsheet I made myself that helps me keep track of everything. So yeah, it's not like I But I have been doing it the sticky notes. I have written stuff down on a sticky notes and keeping track of how many stitches I've done, but it doesn't work when you get a really high amount of stitches. So, and I always had plans to make a spreadsheet that tracks stitches done on each individual project, and that's what I did. Like, I made a spreadsheet that have a template for each individual project, and using that I'm tracking the prompts, because usually I will only do, as I said, one project over a longer time. And I have some spreadsheets that I will fill in at the end of the month to see what I did monthly and so on and so forth. So now I'm keeping track of everything. And on my spreadsheet, I'm keeping track of stitches, hours I have stitched, and days. So it's very advanced. It's not like super advanced, like it could be even more high-tech, but the problem is I use it on my iPad, and iPad doesn't like Google spreadsheets, which I am using. So when it gets too high-tech, it doesn't function properly on my iPad, and I can only use it on my computer. And then the whole point of the spreadsheet is gone for me, for what I'm using it for. So, so I can't make it too high-tech. But it's fine. And it's I really like this year. I'm also doing no new starts. I'm doing the 22 and 22 challenge, where I can only have a maximum of 22 projects at a time. So if I want to start something new, when I have filled up my 22 places, I need to finish something to be able to replace that spot. And you can only replace similar or smaller size. So they have a list they have made of what, like how big a project in if it was a square project, like how many stitches it would be. What you do is you take the height and the width stitch count of the project, you add them together, and then you divide by 2, then you find out what it would have been the size in if it was a square project. And from that number you can then see if it fits a small project. So I think it's under 100 stitches square, so 100 stitches wide, 100 stitches tall. It's a small. If it's less than that, I think it's 150 stitches. Between 100 and 150 is medium. 150 to 200 is large, or is it 250? And over 250 is BAP, which is big ASS project, it stands for. Even though lately I have begun to say big amazing projects instead. It's more fitting. For people that do love BAPs, they know what I'm talking about when I'm saying big amazing projects. So yeah. So if you finish a medium, you can then start a medium or a small one in its place, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I don't have used all 22 spots, and I already have finished 2 projects, so I'm on a good roll when it comes to that challenge. So yeah. And I have to say, so far, I'm really liking this. Me already have kind of pre-planned what I'm going to stitch. And it then helps me get the stitch amount I need for a prompt before I'm finished filming. Or sometimes I might have to do like more than one video, but what I like the most is that I can already tell I'm able to do a lot more stitches than I usually do when doing these A to C stitch with me, is when I already have planned what I'm supposed to do and I don't need to plan too much on camera. If you like seeing the plans I do on camera, like watch the first ones, they have a lot of it. But for me, it's a lot of the time everything is harder on camera. And since I try to talk through my plans, I will often go with the first thing I think of and just roll with it. And since I'm talking, I kind of don't think too much ahead, further ahead. And when I stitch normally, my brain is constantly planning what to do, what to stitch next. And so on. So the whole doing it on camera, I usually end up not going with the best solution because I just go with the first one I planned instead of starting to stitch what I planned, and then in the middle of maybe after a few stitches I'm like, oh, but this will be better, and then I will go and do that instead. So and it's not like I'm gonna follow, like I have already seen that my plans on my project is I was supposed to do a green stitch over here to start a pine cone, but instead what I'm going to do, instead of that one stitch, I'm gonna switch it out with a white stitch here because that works better. And I didn't see that when I was planning my stitches, but that's just 1 or 2 stitches I maybe have to rearrange what I'm doing and how I plan to do it to get the stitches needed. On this stitch is basically I just needed one more stitch to do in my planning, and then I would have the stitches I needed. And then things like if I do a little mistake and stuff like that, that will of course hinder my plans, but I hope so far with the planning I'm actually doing less mistakes than I usually do, because I know what to do beforehand, and then it's easier to actually sit and stitch and talk at the same time, because I know what to do. And I know how I want to do it. So that's good. That's a good thing. And where I park this floss now will actually be the last row of this snowy hill. So this row will be the last row. And that's always nice to find, because then you feel like you have like I know that in this section going approximately to here, this is just what I need to fill in, and this will be done. Usually what people say, it's always nice to find the corners in a project, because then you get more of a, you see more visual how much there's left to do. Like it, and the minute you get that, you usually feel like there's not that much left to do, because when you have the whole fabric, like there's so much you feel like you still have to stitch. When you find the corners, you know that, oh no, like this bit of fabric isn't going to be stitched on, like it's the border. So you kind of narrow in the view of how big the project actually is, so it feels like it's more manageable. Seriously, I'm really annoyed by this tripod. It has become so bad, and I don't know why. It hasn't been used in ages, so not like I have, because it wasn't like that before I ended a filming. So suddenly it's starting to act up. That's just weird. I need to look into it and try and see if I can find a solution, because it's getting ridiculous. I can't breathe on it before it moves. Like if I look at the frame, that if I look on my phone where I'm filming from, if I'm in frame and I breathe too hard on one end of the phone, it actually falls down. It's that bad. Believe it or not. Okay. That's actually all my planned stitches. And that's more stitches than I did last time. I'm just saying. So apparently this pre-planning is working out for me. So far I'm just gonna roll with that going forward. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like, please leave a thumbs up and a comment, so that I know you like and appreciate the series. And I have said, as long as there's people that like it and appreciate it, I am gonna keep doing it. Stitching. I'm gonna stitch on this project anyway. I'm just gonna stitch while I'm filming on the project if people like it. And it's always so much fun to spend these Fridays with you. I try to put them out so that they are available for most people on Fridays. For the Australian people, it ends up being Saturdays. But that's also a nice day to sit and stitch in the evenings. And so yeah, it was a part of the... I started doing Fridays because of Friday Off the Grid group with Caroline from Off the Grid Needle Arts, I think her channel name is. And yeah, she has this Friday party she was doing, and I thought that it would be a good addition for me to do the A to C Stitch with Me's then on Fridays. It's like a Friday Stitch with Me party. And I hope you also think so. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Friday for a stitching party. Goodbye!